Hello, church. So here's our devotional for Thursday, June 12th. This is our fifth and final portion of Psalm 78 that we've been going through. We've talked about learning from failures, the Old Testament recounting throughout Psalm, particularly of the nation of Israel, God's deliverance, and then return to unfaithfulness. We're actually going to be getting into, and this is more one of the pieces of James Mays. Today we're going to be talking about the Davidic line of kings. If it's been a while, when you go through the First and Second Kings and the history of Israel's monarchs, very often there are taglines, and more often than not, you see the tagline that they did what was evil in God's sight, which normally is talking about the kings permitting other altars other than to God being erected and the people worshiping at them. So this flirtation with, and not even flirtation, this idolatry. We do have some times in Israel's history where there are kings who are committed to serving God. And so Josiah and Hezekiah are two of those kings who are respected for restoring the temple, for restoring the appropriate worship of God and taking down the high altars where offerings would be made to others than God. So we'll hear a little bit of that. But here's our conclusion from New Revised Standard Version. And the line before talks about God driving out the people and allowing Israel to be established in the land after the deliverance from Egypt. And so here we go with verse 56. Yet they tested the Most High God and rebelled against him. They did not observe his decrees, but turned away and were faithless like their ancestors. They twisted like a treacherous bow, for they provoked him to anger with their high places. They moved him to jealousy with their idols. When God heard, he was full of wrath, and he utterly rejected Israel. He abandoned his dwelling at Shiloh, the tent where he dwelt among mortals, and delivered his power to captivity, his glory to the hand of the foe. He gave his people to the sword, and he vented his wrath on his heritage. Fire devoured their young men, and their girls had no marriage song. The priests fell by the sword, and their widows made no lamentation. Then the Lord awoke as from sleep, like a warrior shouting because of wine. He put his adversaries to rout. He put them to everlasting disgrace. He rejected the tent of Joseph. He did not choose the tribe of Ephraim, but he chose the tribe of Judah, Mount Zion, which he loves. He built his sanctuary like the high heavens, like the earth which he has founded forever. He chose his servant David and took him from the sheepfolds. From tending the nursing ewes, he brought him to be the shepherd of his people Jacob, of Israel, his inheritance. With upright heart he tended them and guided them with skillful hand. And here's the conclusion from James L. Mays. Clearly, the teacher who speaks in the psalm attributes immense importance to the temple in Jerusalem and the Davidic king. That those mentions from the NRSV of the God ruling in Zion and choosing Judah, that's a reference to Jerusalem and where the temple will be established and David coming there. Zion and David are institutions of the divine sovereignty to deal with Israel's faithlessness toward their rock and redeemer. In the sanctuary's worship, Israel will remember the marvelous works of their God. In David's rule, Israel will be led in the ways of trust and obedience. The lesson taught in the language the speaker employs could have had an appropriate historical setting during the reform of Josiah in 2 Kings 22 to 23, or more likely the reform of Hezekiah in 2 Kings 18. Both periods of crucial emphasis on the importance of Zion and the Davidic king as institutions for the renewal of Israel's relation to the Lord. The prophets of Israel raised searching questions about the temple and its worship and about the character of the Davidic kings they knew. Within the Old Testament, the quest for a Zion that truly remembers the rock and redeemer of Israel and a Davidic king whose character makes him a faithful guide of the flock finds no final resolution. Good stuff, James Mays. Mercy. Still searching for Zion and a faithful commitment to our rock and our Redeemer. And here's the conclusion from Eugene Peterson in The Message. There was also a line about the priest dying by the sword, and then the NRSV does, and their wives made no lamentation. Peterson knocks it out of the park. So, yeah, we'll see. There might be laughter. Yeah. Here we go. But they kept on giving him a hard time, rebelled against God, the high God, refused to do anything he told them. They were worse, if that's possible, than their parents, traitors, crooked as corkscrews. Their pagan orgies provoked God's anger. Their obscene idolatries broke his heart. When God heard their carrying ons, he was furious. He posted a huge no over Israel. He walked off and left Shiloh empty, abandoned the shrine where he had met with Israel. He let his pride and joy go to the dogs, turned his back on the pride of his life. He turned them loose on fields of battle. Angry, he let them fend for themselves. Their young men went to war and never came back. Their young women waited in vain. Their priests were massacred, and their widows never shed a tear. Woo! Suddenly, the Lord was up on his feet like someone roused from deep sleep, shouting like a drunken warrior. He hit his enemies hard, sent them running, yelping, not daring to look back. He disqualified Joseph as leader, told Ephraim he didn't have what it takes, and chose the tribe of Judah instead. Mount Zion, which he loved so much, he built his sanctuary there, resplendent, solid and lasting as the earth itself. Then he chose David, his servant, handpicked him from his work in the sheep pens. One day he was caring for the ewes and their lambs. The next day God had him shepherding Jacob, his people Israel, his prized possession. His good heart made him a good shepherd. He guided the people wisely and well. May it be spoken of us that we have guided God's flock wisely and well. So we'll be jumping into Psalm 79 for Friday and Saturday. Hope to see a lot of you at the chicken barbecue, and we'll catch you later. Have a great day. Bye-bye.